Autumn of 1983 in a small English village, and a 15-year-old girl never comes home. The police have nothing to go on. No prints, no witnesses, no name. What they don't know yet, and what no one knows yet, is that somewhere across town, a scientist has just begun to stare at a smudgy X-ray film that will change everything. On this episode of Crisis and Consequences, we'll delve into the heinous story of Colin Pitchfork and the world's first DNA conviction.
Welcome to Crisis and Consequences, a true crime podcast with a purpose. We dive into murder stories and the complicated humans behind them, blending storytelling, dark humor, and real conversation. Listener discretion is advised. This podcast contains dark, troubling, and explicit content.
All right, so before we get into all the horror and the blood and all the stuff, we're going to travel back to September 10th of 1984. So it's a Monday morning in Leicester, England. A geneticist named Alec, just like my son, Jeffries, he's then a professor at the University of Leicester. He slides an X-ray film out of its developer, and he's been exploring how DNA varies between people. He expects nothing remarkable. This is just typical research, whatever. Most of it's boring, right? But then what he sees on the film kind of like, So the film shows this pattern, a jagged, banded, almost like a barcode, and the bands belong to his lab technician. And this pattern cannot be faked. It cannot be shared. It's unique to each human being on the planet except like identical twins. And so at 9:05 that morning, Jeffries rushes from the darkroom. He tells his team that he thinks he's onto something. He's super excited. And with half an hour, the group has brainstormed a list of potential uses for this DNA that includes like forensics and paternity testing and wildlife classification. So they're already like, this is the possibility, right? So they're super excited. And this discovery, of course, would also change police work forever. Although what he'd been trying to do was he was trying to be able to identify inherited diseases. So that's like what he was aiming for. But here's what he stumbled upon. So this obviously became known as DNA fingerprinting, and the science is elegant. You know, there's these certain short repetitive sequences in the human genome, and they vary so dramatically from person to person that the odds of two unrelated individuals sharing the same profile are like billions to one, right? So you leave it on a cigarette. I just left it on my laptop. I just left it on, everything. So it's a glass, a doorknob, like everybody, it's your signature. Yeah. You're in the space. It's there somewhere. So right away, all these applications were popping up. The legal community was the first to jump aboard. So there was this immigration case, and they were trying to prove paternity. So what happened is there was this young Ghanaian boy, and he'd been denied entry into the UK after his parents became citizens. Mm-hmm. And so the parents are like, yeah, he's our son. And they're like, no, he's probably not your son. This is probably some kind of scam or whatever. So they were able to use DNA evidence to prove that he really was their kid, their biological son. So he was able to come into the country. So 2 years after Jeffrey's discovery, a murderer in a quiet village would give Jeffrey the chance to test it further. Okay, so this is called the Black Pad, and it's November of 83. I'll explain what that is in a minute. So Lynda Mann was 15 years old. She's a super cheerful young girl. She'd promised her parents she'd take the safe way home from babysitting, which was also the long way home. So instead, she cuts across this deserted footpath in the village of Narborough, Leicestershire, a route known locally as the Black Pad, which
doesn't sound
doom
safe.
And gloom, probably, yeah. So, of course, she never made it home. Following morning, neighbors and family discover her body, and she'd been brutally raped and killed by being strangled with her own scarf. Ugh. Now, the forensic tools of 83 were blunt, to say the least. Scientists could extract semen sample. They could identify blood type. Like they knew Lynda's attacker had a type A blood and a specific enzyme profile that matched roughly 10% of all males, which is still a lot of people. Mm-hmm. So that meant like tens of thousands of potential suspects in their region alone. So the investigation stalled because they didn't have anything else available to assist them at the time, and the case goes cold. So 3 years pass. There's no answers for Lynda's family, and the village just tries their best to move on. And, this is a pretty tight-knit village, right? So it's like,
who did it?
Who is it? Is it the butcher? Is it the baker? Is it the candlestick maker? Like, what is it? And then in the summer of 1986, nearly 3 years later, history repeats itself. So Dawn Ashworth, also 15 years old, also walking by herself. In this case, she was on her way to visit a friend in the neighboring village of Enderby when she disappeared in July of 86. Her body was found 2 days later, hidden in this undergrowth beside another deserted pathway less than a mile from where Lynda Mann had been found. Dawn, too, had been raped and strangled in the same manner as Lynda. So the similarities were impossible for authorities to ignore. Same type of profile, teenage girls 15 years old each, same method, sexual assault, murder by strangulation, same geography. And so police were certain that this was the same piece of crap.
I feel like when we hear these stories, especially, 2 stories back to back of teenage girls, makes you just want to take all the teenage girls and go lock them up
Bubble wrap.
and
Yeah. In the tower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Rapunzel. Sorry.
Or we still need to figure out a way to find the crappy people and then get them over out of the dome. And then our girls can be girls and not have to worry about it.
Absolutely.
All right. So the pressure to make an arrest obviously was enormous. And it mounted when a local 17-year-old Richard Buckland, who had learning difficulties, he appeared to know unreleased details about Dawn's murder, which I question. And so he's brought in for interrogation. So under interrogation, he confessed to the killing, although he denied any knowledge of Lynda Mann's murder. So let me rephrase that. Under coercive questioning, he confessed. And so the police were like, we got our guy, but they wanted certainty, and they had heard about this new tool being developed by Alec Jeffries at the University of Leicester, and so they rang Alec. And so Jeffries is like, cool, let's do this. He runs the analysis. He compares Richard Buckland's DNA against the semen recovered from both crime scenes, and the results were unmistakable. He didn't do it.
Yep.
So then that speaks to the coercive questioning, right?
Yeah.
He was innocent of both murders. The DNA profiles from both crime scenes matched each other perfectly. So we know it's a single killer, and that killer is not Richard Buckland. So DNA in this case saved an innocent man from being put away for life. So this was the first time that DNA had been used not to convict but to clear somebody.
Yeah.
So Buckland was released after more than 3 months in custody, but the real killer is still running around out there. And so now the police just needed to figure out who this genetic fingerprint belonged to, right?
Yeah.
So they made a bold and unprecedented decision. You want to guess what they did?
I have no idea.
They would test every man in the area.
What?
Yes.
Do you know how long? I would never even have guessed that.
Yes.
Do you know how long that would take?
Yes. This is wild. They're like, let's get her done. So early 1987, the Leicestershire police launched the world's first mass DNA screening, what the press would later call a genetic dragnet. Officers asked every local male between the ages of 16 and 34 to voluntarily submit blood and saliva samples. By the end of January, 1,000 men had given samples.
Did they tell them what they were using it for?
Yeah. Yep. And I mean, people wanted this guy caught, right?
Yeah, but at the same hand, I'm like, this guy's like, I'm out of here. Right?
I'll get to it.
Oh, for the love.
For the love. But by the time the operation wound down, they had tested over 5,000 men. But the process, of course, back then was super slow, right? And it was expensive by the standards of today.
Quite the database.
Yeah. So each sample had to be analyzed individually. Men who declined to participate were quietly flagged and watched and monitored. And the community was under a microscope. Everyone knew it, but the pressure to comply was through the roof, right? And yet they had no match. Month after month, nothing matched the killers. So it seemed as though the murder had simply just evaporated, or maybe he was a drifter or something. They had no way of knowing. Then, in August of 1987, a woman walked into a Leicester pub, overheard something that would lead to solving the case. So this young man named Ian Kelly, who worked at the local bakery, was telling anyone who listened that he'd done something unusual, and he was kind of proud of it. Yeah. He had taken the police DNA test on behalf of a friend, using a fake passport to impersonate him, and that the friend had paid him £200, which is £600 today, or $800 to do it. So sweet Ian Kelly had gone to the testing center on January 29th of 87, and he'd given a blood sample in someone else's name for some cash. That someone else was this fictional sounding man by the name of Colin Pitchfork. But he was really a real monster. So he was 27 years old. He worked alongside Ian Kelly at the Hampshire's bakery. He lived less than a mile from where Don Ashworth's body had been found. Police found a court order to get his blood and were successful in drawing it from him. And the analysis took hours, but the findings took a mere second to comprehend. So they had their match. Pitchfork was arrested on September 19th of 87, and when confronted, he confessed. Authorities then were able to go back and look at this guy's history. Mm-hmm. He had sexually assaulted women going back to 1979 when he forced a 16-year-old into a field and raped her.
Oh, my.
And yet he's still running around. He had exposed himself to 2 schoolgirls when he was 20 years old. He got a year's probation for that. He had attacked teenagers with a screwdriver. And in November of 1983, he had encountered poor Lynda Mann alone on the black pad. In 75, he assaulted another 16-year-old using a screwdriver at her throat to get her to comply. And in July of 86, he had killed Don Ashworth. He later admitted to him exposing himself to over 1,000 women.
That's crazy.
Cut that fucking thing off.
That is crazy.
And they know it. And he said that killing some of the girls was the only way he could protect himself. So he just needed to, he just needed to protect himself. He didn't really want to kill them. He just couldn't have them telling.
No. But see, this is where I'm like, some of the first things that you mentioned, I'm like, these are not normal things. These are not like, oh, you have to be on parole for a year. Naughty.
I mean, what do most people do? Like, if they're caught nude, right? They cover themselves, right?
You're not out
This
there
guy's just like,
helicoptering it. Like, what are you doing? Can you imagine? Did he have a trench coat?
I picture him with a trench coat now.
Oh. Anyway.
So, on January 23rd of 88, Colin...
I'm sorry.
I'm picturing
No, that's all we're picturing.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I'm sorry.
He was sentenced at the Leicester Crown Court to life imprisonment for both murders with a minimum term of 30 years. I don't understand he can be sentenced to life and then have a minimum. If you're in for life, you're in for life. But I don't.
But see, that's where, like, in some of these cases, and you and I have talked about, like, they get these sentences, and then it's like, but they had good behavior. Oh, like, they were knitting everyone washcloths and towels, and they were...
They let Bible study and...
Yeah, they did this and that, and it's like...
Praise the Lord. Yeah.
Yeah, and they changed.
It's an act.
And I'm just kind of like, no.
Well, the judge remarked at the time of the sentencing that the extraordinary danger he posed to the public after a psychiatric diagnosis, he was diagnosed with psychopathic personality disorder.
Shocker.
Accompanied with a serious psychosexual pathology. Fantastic combination. Jeez. So the conviction of Colin Pitchfork was this like watershed moment in the history of criminal justice. Within a year of that trial, forensic DNA labs were operating across the United Kingdom and the United States. By the 90s, the technique had spread worldwide. DNA databases were then established. Cold cases were reopened. Innocent people on death row were exonerated, and the guilty were finally caught. So to date, over 600 people have been exonerated by DNA evidence since 1989.
That's cool.
Isn't that cool? So the incredible Alec Jeffreys was knighted in 1994. The University of Leicester established a permanent archive of this discovery. But there is this one lingering ethical question in this case, right? Like a mass DNA screening of 5,000 people, all without court orders, based on voluntary compliance. Like what do you think about that?
Well, I mean, you had me at voluntary, basically. You know what I mean? It is voluntary. So if you've got nothing to hide, like, you're like, okay, sure. Go ahead and have my, have my fingerprint, have a little bit of my DNA. Not a big deal. And it takes me back to like way back when, like biblical times, back in like the ancient Rome days where people used to go do they used to travel back to their homeland for like citizenship. And so like every so often they'd have
the census.
Like you had to go back for that census. Yeah. And so when you were explaining that to me, I was like, it kind of reminded me of having to travel back for like a census or something like that. So I don't know, like how much easier would it be if every, like at a certain age, every American citizen who maybe like has a driver's license or some form of ID, like you also have to provide your DNA. Like how much quicker could things get solved?
Right.
Because if I don't, if I don't get arrested,
You want a driver's license?
Yeah, if
You
I
wanna
don't
vote?
if I don't get arrested,
Spit
you
in a
don't
cup.
have my thumbprints.
Yeah.
Like if I don't do something wrong, you don't have any of that. But at the same hand, I've thought about like as far as like finding missing children.
Mm-hmm.
What if we had that?
Right.
And I know that they have like some programs like what's that dog McGruff or whatever, where you can go get your kids, you can sign your kids up and they can get their like little fingerprints and.
Do they still do that?
I don't know if they do
McGruff,
that. I
the
was always
crime
kind of
guy?
like I felt like that was always
I
kind
think
of
wasn't
weird.
he with the Dare stuff? Like, is he still around?
Yeah.
No, I think
I don't know if he is
that
still.
program got dismantled, I believe.
Yeah, but it's just the theory there behind that, where I'm just thinking, would it help? Would it make things move along quicker as far as like,
Sure, you have more
catching
to
some
work
of these
with.
people?
Yeah, probably.
But then how many of them are going to be like this Pitchfork and pay somebody to?
Mm-hmm.
And there's plenty of people out there that are desperate for any amount of money that would be like, oh sure, I'll.
Yeah. Well, Pitchfork never stopped seeking release because that's what people with this pathology do. He was briefly freed on parole
No way.
in September of 21.
For knitting washcloths and
Yep.
good behavior.
But he was recalled to prison 2 months later because, do you want to know what he did?
The helicopter?
He approached young women. Well,
Oh,
yeah, the
okay.
helicopter. He literally can't help himself. He's
not well.
No, he's not rehabilitated. Locking someone up and keeping them from the thing does not rehabilitate people.
It's kind of like rehab. Taking a person away from the substance, as they're in rehab, they're going to go through all the things and they're hopefully going to work on getting better, right? And so while they're in that safe space, there's part of that. It's kind of like when you're in jail. You don't have access to certain things. And I know that it's not the same. But now if you take the person straight from like rehab, like you take him straight from jail, and they are easily able to go put themselves into the mix of what they're addicted to or whatever is causing the problem, I don't know if they're going to be able to withstand it right away.
Right.
Like that takes a lot of time.
Well,
And then I think there's certain people like this guy where it's just,
prison's the best place for him.
yeah.
Yeah.
That
Well,
was a terrible analogy. I'm sorry, people.
parole was again granted in 2023. The things we know now, he was granted parole again, but the Justice Secretary blocked it. So in October of 2025, the parole board denied his release once more, finding that he had only, quote, limited internal controls and poor insight into his risky thinking. So he remains incarcerated today, fortunately.
Thankfully.
So the families of Lynda Mann and Don Ashworth have never stopped fighting to keep him behind bars.
Of course. And they shouldn't have to.
Yeah. So every rape kit processed, every cold case reopened and solved by DNA database, like every wrongfully convicted person freed, like all of it traces back to this Alec Jeffries. And
There you go, Alec.
yeah, and so in honor of these girls who were 15 years old and deserved so much better, like at least we got their guy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because, without it, how do you... I think about how many cases would have gone unsolved without being able to DNA test.
I don't know. What do you think about genetic genealogy? Like when you're using someone downstream of you, in your family lineage to solve something you did. We've kind of talked about it before. Like, remember in the pap smear example, I didn't necessarily agree with that one. She should have been asked.
Yeah, she should have been asked.
But
that's what I'm saying. Like, if it was just a process, like a census, like it was just a process and it was like, this is just what we do. Like, you want to drive, you have to have a license. You want to live in the United States or live wherever. Like,
doesn't it make you want... Sorry, I just went down a mental rabbit hole, and it's a dark place. Like all the things we do in the health care sense. Where is all that stuff?
I don't know.
Do they destroy it? Do they keep it?
I don't
Are they
know.
cloning us?
But I think that's where it's like HIPAA.
Where's it at?
I don't know.
Where's it at?
I don't know.
I need to find out. What are they doing with your samples after they test them and tell you what you need to do? You have too much vitamin D. Like like
Maybe they're just destroyed.
What are they?
In the trash. I don't know.
I don't know. I just got really creeped out all of a sudden. It was the pap smear thing. That one really freaked me out.
Well, because
That one freaked me out.
so did they keep it? And that's how they tested? I don't understand.
They had her stuff. Yes. Remember
they just had
remember
the data.
Remember no, they had a sample.
Still, after all that.
Well, yeah, because they don't run DNA on a pap smear. They're looking for other stuff. So she had gone. Remember in the
Was it in a fridge? Like, where do you keep that?
right?
Well, that is weird now that you said that.
Yeah. I'm like, well,
Hey, Google.
where the hell is it? I don't want to Google that. Oh God.
Oh, that's another thing. Like, because of algorithms and all the things, like there are certain things that I think of now, like random questions like this. And I'll be like, I wonder. And I'm like, I'm not Googling
Don't
that.
Google that.
I'm not Googling that. So if one of you guys wants to Google that and let us know.
Well, let us know. Write in. Do the. I don't know. I don't know. I might text one of my doctors and just say, "Hey,
Just out of curiosity.
curious."
Yeah.
Like,
What's your protocol?
anyway,
Yeah, that's strange.
that's all I have for you. So the creepy villain-sounding fictional character is actually a heinous serial killer, and he's behind bars today.
And he's going to stay there.
Hallelujah.
Are you ready to re-enter the workforce or find a career that actually fits? Or maybe you're an employer tired of noisy platforms that miss the mark? Try Focus, a smarter hiring tool that helps you cut through the noise and focus on what matters. Visit focus.work today. That's FOQUS.WORK.
Yep.
Yep.
Pitchfork. I hope he's getting pitchforked. Not kidding.
Ugh.
I mean, he deserves it.
Maybe so.
I
All right.
don't advocate rape, but prison rape when you are I don't know.
I don't want to picture that.
He's bad. Bad person.
Well, on that note,
Sorry. Kate, cut that out.
yes. Thank you guys so much for joining us today on Crisis and Consequences. As always, subscribe so you never miss an episode and leave us a 5-star
We'll have
review.
another one for you next week.
We will. Like we said earlier, if you guys have, questions, comments, stories, whatever, hit us up at hello@crisisandconsequences.com. And
Anything goes. Did you have a near miss?
yeah,
Do you have a villain in your life that has a fictional sounding name?
that's right. Tell us about it. We
Or
wanna
like
hear.
a hometown kind of, connection to a story. I mean, clearly I'm married to a hometown.
Yeah.
Almost murder victim, but, not everybody, like a lot of people have those things of like, oh yeah, oh boy.
There's so many things. We were talking about that the other day. I think it's super important. Oftentimes people will be shy to share stories from their experiences. Maybe it's because they're embarrassed, maybe because they're ashamed, maybe because it's just hard to tell or hard to whatever. But oftentimes when we have these stories like that, things from our past, I find that when appropriate, when I share these stories, whether it's with you or with somebody else, I'm not alone.
Yeah.
And so it's like people can relate.
There's that moment, right? You
And-
feel it.
And I think that other people need to hear,
I'm seen.
Yep.
I'm heard.
I'm not alone. And we're going to get through
I didn't
this
do
together.
anything wrong. Yes.
Yep, it didn't just happen to me. It
Yeah.
didn't just happen to you. Like,
I didn't cause this. I'm not the cause of this. Yeah.
yeah. So,
I agree.
share your stories,
So we're happy to hear them.
Yep. Absolutely.
Correspond. If you don't want us to ever read it on the air, we won't.
Yep.
If you want us to share it to help other
Anonymously.
people and do it anonymously, we're absolutely happy to do that. So
Yep, absolutely. So, and all of our source notes are in the show notes, so you can get all your links there if you want to dig into any of this. Otherwise, until next time,
we've got some really fascinating stuff queued up for you. So
see you next week. All
Bye, everybody.
Bye.